During his presidential campaign, Donald Trump promised that if he were elected, he would change U.S. policy on what it considers to be the capital of Israel, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Well, it's now being reported in Washington he might make that symbolic change later this week. It may seem like a small step, but it would actually have big repercussions right across the Middle East. And that's because the Palestinians want East Jerusalem to be the capital of any future Palestinian state. Let's just give you an idea of how this suggestion is being viewed. These are the thoughts of the Jordanian Foreign Minister Ayman Safadi, who said there would be dangerous consequences. And he added that such a decision would trigger anger across the Arab and Muslim worlds, fuel tension, and jeopardize peace efforts. And he is not the only one who has expressed this kind of reaction. Let's bring in our Arab Affairs editor, Sebastian Usher. Tell us why the Arab world would be so outraged by this, Sebastian.
Well, as you said, the Palestinians see East Jerusalem as being their capital when they have a state, which they believe they will still have. They want East Jerusalem to be the capital. East Jerusalem is regarded by the UN as occupied land. It was taken by the Israelis in the 1967 war. So any move which looks like it formalizes the Israeli-controlled jurisdiction over Jerusalem, and obviously coming from the US, who've been traditionally the main player as far as mediation goes in the Middle East, would seem as a huge slap in the face, essentially, to the Palestinians and to the Arab world.
I mean, so symbolic. To the extent, Sebastian, do you think that the US would almost jeopardize that place that they have as a negotiator? It threatens that place.
And I think it does. I mean, I think when you look at the Arab world, when you look at the Palestinians and the Jordanians and how they view the US, I mean, they don't see them necessarily as being entirely unbiased. I mean, they see them as being geared closer towards Israel, and this, for them, would justify that sense. Now, Mr. Trump and his main advisor on this issue, Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, who was speaking yesterday and said that Mr. Trump hasn't yet made up his mind about whether this will happen or not. He's due to make this, we believe, this statement on Wednesday, is trying to give a sense, as Mr. Trump is across the board, that he's there to shake things up. This is the way things have been done in the past. We're going to do it a new way. Hasn't worked in the past. We're businessmen. We're out to get a deal. So I think they believe that if they shake the whole status quo up, somehow, as that falls, a new pattern will emerge, and that could shock the Middle East into a new configuration, which might lead to peace. It does, I have to say, seem rather unlikely that would happen, but I think that's their hope. But we've had dire warnings from the Palestinians, from the Jordanians, from both the Palestinian Authority and Hamas, saying that if this happens, it could ignite new conflict.
I mean, Hamas has said if it does happen, they're calling for an intifada. But I also wonder about the status of the embassy, because that's always been important, hasn't it? That at the moment the US embassy is in Tel Aviv. Is the suggestion that it would be moved to Jerusalem?
Well, there is this every 6 months, there's a waiver which the US president since 1995 has been doing, essentially saying that if the US policy is to move it to Jerusalem, he will waive that right. It's today is the latest deadline. Mr. Trump has already passed one deadline at which he didn't do it. Today is the latest deadline. I think all the focus, though, is on this mooted declaration on Wednesday about Jerusalem. And I think if that happens, it will be an extraordinary event. What's interesting, though, is that other international reactions so far from the European Union, for example, has been very muted. So I think we'll have to see how that goes.
We will indeed. Sebastian, thank you so much.